What's up, guys? Ricky here with another review of the Diamond Select Toys Jean-Claude Van Damme World Action Figure. So this is from Bloodsport. It's funny because I almost didn't buy this, but for $24.99 I figure I would just try. So I was a huge fan of this movie. That's the only reason I bought it. It was like one of the movies I used to watch when I was a kid. Not sure if that's appropriate or not, but I always grew up loving fighting, and I was young and I loved watching it. But so yeah, I just thought I'd get it and see, see what this figure holds up to. So it looks like you have some hands here. Looks like they did a brown wash over the skin tone. It looks okay. Let's see, you have a face there. I don't know how much that looks like Jean-Claude Van Damme. Guess we'll see when we open it up. Looks like they did a brown wash as well on it, so it filled up the lips quite a bit. Let's see, we have nice skin tone here on the body, nice sculpt, looks good. Looks like the articulation is going to be decent as well. But there is kind of like a black, I don't know if you can see that. It looks like there's a black kind of fade in the center of his chest, like a black tint. Interesting. Okay, it looks like they did a wash on the yellow belt as well. That looks good. The trunks, the legs, everything looks nice there. Comes with 2 chairs so we can do the splits, if you remember that from the movie. And then comes with some bottles and stuff. So, and then here's his extra face. So from the end, when he gets the stuff in his eyes and can't see, and he's yelling, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so it looks okay. Yeah, so I think what I might do, I might look and see if once we get this out of the package and see the face, if the face looks fine, then I'll leave it as is. Otherwise, I might customize the face to maybe bring out a little more details. At least that's how it looks right now. But we'll see when we get it out. So here's the side of the package. Different packaging for sure than the normal Diamond Select. Here we go. So we have the bio here. So if you want to read it, you can pause your screen now. Okay, cool. Here's the other side. So yeah. So let's open this up and see what we're looking at. Okay, here is Jean-Claude Van Damme from Bloodsport out of the package. And it's pretty cool so far. So I couldn't get it on the turntable because it takes too much to set it up like that. So here we go. So real quick. So with the shading, like from the lighting here, right, I think it looks a little bit better in the face for sure. But it's pretty plain as far as there's not a lot of like dual tones to really bring out the skin. They did get a little globby on the hair too, which I'm not a huge fan of. So you can see where some of the peach color, the skin color, right, got on the hair. You also see how it's on his head too, so that's kind of not the best look there, but I can touch it up, no big deal. It looks like they did brown, and then they dry brushed a little bit of light brown over the top to differentiate it. And yeah, so there's that black tint there on the chest, and they did a black tint on the shoulders too, and it's really hard to see on camera, but in person you really notice it, and I don't know if I am a huge fan, but I mean, it's not terrible, especially for a $24.99 figure. And you can see the hands. So the hands are brown washed, the skin is not, so those do stick out a little bit. And then the articulation is actually pretty good. You can get him in the splits. The thing is to turn his legs sideways to fit on the chair, which they do have a groove in the chair where his feet fit in pretty good. You have to do the little swivel there in order to do it. So you can see how it overflows, how it sticks out above the shorts there. But it's not super noticeable. Then you can see the head there, the extra head. Looks okay. I mean, it does kind of look like his face in the movie, which was always like a real funny kind of looking moment. But let's see, you got the brown wash, you have the bruise, the blood. I think it looks okay. I think it'll look good on. I'll do a little pose with him on that too. And then there's the extra hands you get, and then the extra bottles. And I didn't realize, but the bottles are broken too, which is actually pretty cool. So, and then it does come with the stand. So the stand in the back there to help, it plugs into his low back so he can stand like that. So let's put the extra head on real quick. Okay, and here is Jean-Claude with the extra head. I put the extra hands on. So, not too bad. So one thing I do want to say is the head. So taking off the head was easy, but putting this head on was super difficult. I don't even think I got it on all the way. And I was using like full strength here. So yeah, that was really interesting. So, oh, look, he took a dive. Okay, so that being said, just be careful. You might be able to use like a I don't know, a hair dryer or whatever, just to kind of heat up the plastic to put it on. Because yeah, like I said, I don't even think I have it on all the way. But the hands were easy to take off and put on. He's decent to pose in some of these poses. But we'll get into the articulation. I'll show you. I have one gripe, but I don't know if it's necessarily a gripe, and I'll tell you why in a bit. But overall, so far, looking decent. Okay, here we go. So head looks up about that far, so not very far. Looks down okay. You do have some decent pivot and rotation, so it's not too bad. Arms go up about 90 degrees. You have a bicep swivel. You have double jointed elbows, which is nice. And you have wrist articulation, rotation as well. You have ab crunch. Unfortunately, it's kind of a bummer because you'd think this figure, since they're going for martial arts and want a lot of articulation, they did really well in some spots, but right here, not so much. So you only get back that far, which is unfortunate. You only get forward that far. And you got a little bit of side to side, but not much. So that's honestly the biggest gripe I have there, unfortunately. You do have swivel here on the waist. You do have leg articulation, so you can go out in the splits. You can go up 90 degrees. You have thigh swivel, double jointed knees, which is nice. Then you have ankle articulation and pivot as well, which is nice. So one thing I want to show you real quick, which is really interesting, is these joints here are very different. So they did kind of the similar on this end, but the inside they kind of cross, which is interesting. So I guess so you can do the splits. So if you have it rotated, you can have this huge gap here for fun. So you just got to make sure when you pose it, it's here. And I'm sure they did that probably so you have extra space so he could do the actual splits on the chairs that he has. But it does look funny if you just leave it like that. But he's taller. Pretty cool. So overall, the articulation is hit and miss on this one. So I think the articulation's great overall from a lower half perspective, and upper is not so bad as far as arms go. The only hindrance is this, unfortunately, this little ab crunch is kind of non-existent. It doesn't crunch as much as you want. And when you're doing karate poses, obviously you want really good bend on the sides and crunch in the front. So that's kind of a little bummer, but overall, it's decent. Okay, so here we go. So as you see, we got Jean-Claude in the middle. We have a Marvel Select Black Panther to the right of him. We have the John Wick from Diamond Select to the left of him. We have to the far left, we have the Marvel Select Hulk. And then to the far right, we have a McFarlane Toys Scarecrow. Just want to give a little bit of differentiation. So I know Jean-Claude Van Damme is not really tall in real life, but he seems very undersized. Yeah, especially compared to John Wick. But I also think John Wick, they made way too tall. Because I know Keanu Reeves is, like 6 foot tall? But yeah, there's a huge difference there between them two, for sure. So yeah, he's definitely smaller than the rest. So he might actually fit in with your 6-inch scale if you're a 6-inch scale collector. So let's look at the actual size real quick. So looks like he stands about 6 3/4 inches tall, so not even 7 inches tall. You have your Black Panther that's about 7-inch scale. Scarecrow is about 7, also about 7, maybe 7 1/4. You have John Wick that is 7 1/2, and then you have 9 1/2 for the Hulk. So centimeters for this one is roughly 17 centimeters. So like I said, a little under scale, I think. I think they could have made him a little bit taller, but maybe they were trying to go a little smaller so they could kind of reach both demographics of 7-inch and 6-inch scale figures. So, yep, so there you go. Okay, final thoughts on Jean-Claude Van Damme from Bloodsport. Honestly, for $25, this figure is awesome. They did a lot of good paint applications and details, accessories. For that price, I think it's a great figure. Now, obviously, I have my complaints. I think the articulation's great. The articulation, obviously, on the rib cage could be better. It's unfortunate, so you can't get him to bend forward as much as I would like. And then they did a few, and the paint got a little globby on certain spots. But overall, I think it's pretty cool. It's a decent representation of Jean-Claude Van Damme in the movie. So if you see it and feel like picking it up, I mean, like I said, for $25, it's a pretty cool figure, especially if you're a fan of Bloodsport. But overall, yeah, not bad. So appreciate you all tuning into the channel today. Thank you all for supporting it. I'll keep bringing customizations, action figure reviews, etc. to you all. So yeah, thank you all so much, and I'll catch you all in the next video.